Alright, so this is day 2. Now, I've not been on this all day yesterday. I must admit, I probably only started this about 8 o'clock last night, but let's get right into it, shall we? This is my blower motor, my original one from over here. I'm going to try and tidy all this up a bit. As you can see, it's all dust and crap everywhere. Not nice. Again with this, looks like they've been very lazy and they've just used one part, which is great news for me, because it means I can take this motor off here, which is held on by screws, and just attach it to this, keeping my original blower. I mean, I could, if I so wanted to, just take this bottom piece out and swap it with that one, but I actually broke this one when I took it out. In here there should be a little piece of plastic which separates these two flaps from each other. Unfortunately, I kind of pulled on it a little bit too hard and it snapped it off, but this one still got it in there, as you can see right there, look. Alright, you can see how nice and clean it is in there. I've just blasted it all out with the hose pipe. Probably shouldn't have done that because, well, the bearings in the fan's not going to like it. The electronics of the fan won't care, but the bearings probably won't like it. But we'll see. We'll try and get it all hooked up and get it spinning up and see how it works. Right, just got to swap this motor over. Thankfully, the cables are quite simple on this. So the cable that, you know, for the for the non-air conditioning style vehicle with the manual sliders, clips into here and connects into this little lug just here, enabling the sliders to either push or pull one or the other. I can't do it because I'm fighting against the motor. The motor, on the other hand, it's just got a little gear on it. Look. Nice and easy. As soon as you pull that out, it slides out, look, as you can see, and the gear comes off. Easy, easy, easy. But again, one thing you've got to remember is whereabouts the gear was parked when you put it all together, because you don't want to have that motor fighting against itself. So the flaps are in non-recirculate mode, so it's pulling air in from the outside. So that's what you got to remember. Right, let's get this motor off, this actuator motor, and stick it on this other one. Alright, now there's something I wasn't expecting. They use a circlip on this. Now if you've got the right tool, which is a pair of pliers with 2 prongs on the end, and you squeeze it, it opens these up, you know, you're laughing. But if you don't have that, it can be quite a pain in the ass to get these off. But if you're really good with a flat blade screwdriver, sometimes you can get them to wedge in there, and with another flat blade screwdriver you can sort of lift up one end and get it to hook over the lip, and then it's just a case of peeling it back, so to speak. Much more difficult to do if they're the internal type, where you've got to pull them in to release them, but you normally find them on prop shafts and things to hold bearings in. But this kind, it's it can be a pain, but sometimes they're not. Just try not to get these things to spring off, because they can do that sometimes, and they are a pain in the ass if you lose them. You gotta try and find a replacement. Right, now we've got the blower motors out and things. Now would be a good time to talk about the wiring diagrams. Well, the wiring in general, really. So out of these 2 wiring diagrams, I've got one up there and one below. Which one do you think is the one for the air conditioning system? Well, you're probably right. It's the one below, because it's the bigger loom. Looks complicated, but it's not really that bad. We'll start at the top one. Nice and simple. Here you've got your main power connector, which gives you the main power for your fan. Notice there's only one wire in there because there's only one blower motor. And you've got your resistor connector here that goes to various things in the loom, such as your illumination, ignition live, and live from, say, your system where your blowers only work if the the engine's running, things like that. because this has got all that into it. This plug here, which is the only plug on the end of the loom, that goes to your switches. Nice and basic. As you can see, you've got one earth somewhere in here. Oh, ice cream truck. You've got one earth. You've got somewhere in there is going to be a illumination live, and then ignition live, and I'm not sure what the brown wire does. Probably something to light up. I'm not sure. I don't think it's that important, to be fair, because we're not using this loom. On the other end, you've got, dead simple, 3 wires to your blower. Tells you your speed. In fact, I think that's what the green wire does in that plug just over there, sorry. That goes to back here to tell the speed controller that's built into the motor blower, the blower motor, sorry, as to what speed you're supposed to put your blower to. And the other wire coming out of that is just an earth, just goes to ground. Oh, sorry again, I've got hay fever, and if you see water dripping off of me, it's because I keep chucking cold water on me from the hose pipe. Of course, it's bloody warm today. So this one is a little more advanced, but it works on the same principle, and then you've got a lot more controlling wires. Don't worry about it, you won't have to touch any of that stuff. That's the beauty of this. So, from your power plug, 2 wires this time. Of course, 2 blower motors. You've got a lot of wires in here which go to various different things now. Again, in this you're going to have a couple of wires that's going to be for sliders and things, actuation controls, but somewhere in here as well you're going to have wires coming from your going to your compressor to turn your compressor on, and various other things. Pretty sure I can figure that out. Controller for your sliders, your switches, and temperature controls. Nice and easy. More control gear here. This goes down to your HVAC system, so that's for your temperature sensor that goes onto your evaporator, indoor radiator for your aircon. Heater actuator, that is the control for it. That plugs onto that funny little relay on the side. I can say I'm not 100% sure what that does, but we'll figure it out when we get the tester on it. Blower motor works exactly the same way. One live, and you'll notice here there's 2 wires coming out of this. Both go to the same pin. Green wires, which is the control wire for the speed controller, obviously in earth as well. And that's because the wire goes from the plug all the way across to here. Bit wasteful really. From that pin there it travels all the way back, all the way through the loom again, and goes to this plug just here. It just literally splits it, so both motors know exactly what to do. Again, same plug. And obviously plug here for your electronic flaps, recirculation flap. Same on this one as well. You've got that plug just up there for it. Nice and easy. Not difficult at all. That loom, you can just install that loom as it is, without having to worry too much about any messing with what do you call it? Any messing with the van's wiring itself, the wiring that's already behind the dashboard, the stuff that's nothing to do with the blower motor system. Right, let's get this installed. Oh, and just to note, I was a bit naughty when I stripped it out the other vehicle, and I did take the plug which plugs into this one just in case I needed it for something. And you can see on this plug, which is down here somewhere, where is it? There it is, that we have got at least 1 pin missing out of this. And we see the pins in there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and on our loom here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we are missing 1 wire, but between you and me I'm hoping that's just the one that tells the compressor to turn on and off. We'll see. Alright, so as I said I was doing the wiring, but come up with the idea of putting that unit in situ first. Just make things easier in the long run, I think. So before you do that, you want to remove your old one, which is this one, from out of the bulkhead. Now you get to that through the front. Now don't be shocked by what this looks like, because I'm doing plenty of other jobs on this. So as you can see, I ain't got a gearbox in here at the moment because I'm doing the clutch, but you don't need to touch any of that. So right in there you've got two lugs sticking out. Look, plenty of access, as you can see. Two 10mm, quite a long thread, so you're going to have to use quite a deep socket. One of those things there. Look, we've got two of those that you got to take off. And then that plate just pulls out nice and easy. Now if you didn't get that plate, don't worry too much about it, because if you're good, you can just cut this out. If you've got a decent Stanley blade, just cut a hole out in this. You want to make it about that size, right there. So when you compare the two, it's about that size. Cool stuff. These only go in one way. They you need to put them in this way around, so that your two hot water pipes are in the UK on the passenger side. Put this plate back in, the new plate that is. Also, say the old plate, but it's done new because it's new to this vehicle. I am tempted just to cut that out on this one because it's a little bit cleaner, to be fair, than that one. Look at it. It's been around the world many times, that one has. This one, and it is just a thick rubber, so you know you can just cut it out. Which I don't know, I might do that, to be honest. You've only got to fit that TXV valve through it, so you're not going to make it massive. You can see here where it goes, look. Simple stuff. Right, let's get it on and do it. Alright, so I just ended up cutting it out with a craft knife. One of them snap-off blade jobbies. Not the neatest thing in the world, but he'll do the job. It's not going to be perfect. So yeah, ideal. Alright, that's the HVAC box in position, kinda. It's a bit of a fiddle, but you get it in eventually. It's only held in with the bottom bolt down here. There is one 10mm bolt that holds these in, just down there, that little 10mm. Big thick washer and a small 10mm bolt with another washer on it that holds it in place. And this black pipe you see here, that's your drain tube. You got to make sure that this drain tube is pointed in this direction. Don't worry if it's not. With a bit of a fiddle you can pull the pipe off and then spin it around, but if you never touch this in the first place, it shouldn't be a problem. That thing just pulls out like that, nice and easy. And that hole there you got, well, that's where your drain is. But now I've got to try and find that thing, which, like I say, is knocking around somewhere underneath all this lot, clutch plates and things. Just got to try and find it. Alright, so once you've done all that lot, what you want to do then is get your heater hose pipes back in place again. Right, to do that, I recommend what you do is you go outside and attach your outdoor heater hoses first, you know, and you'll find that they'll be a bit stiff. What I recommend you use is something like this stuff here, silicone lubricant. It'll just make it nice and easy for the rubber O-rings to slip over the the steel. Excuse me. Bloody hay fever. Right, and then not so necessary, but also do the same on those. Alright, so I recommend that you change these seals in here, just standard rubber O-ring seals. I'm not sure of the sizes, but if you've got a kit like that, they should have the sizes close enough inside there. The thing works on sort of like a compression fitting, where when the plate bolts through from the other side enough, it'll eventually crush the washer, the rubber O-ring seal, washer, whatever you want to call it, that much that it's going to make a seal. Again, I recommend silicone lubricant on there. it'll do the job, and it'll just help the rubber washer find its seating, you know, stop it from creating any kinks. Much better. Yeah, speaking of kinks, little story for you. When I used to work in a tropical fish shop and the pond place, selling, you know, pond pumps and fittings and things for connecting hoses together, boss sent one of the young lasses down into one of the local shops. We call it a Boots here, a Boots pharmacy, to buy, of all things, KY gel, because obviously I'm pretty sure you can understand what I mean here, but it's safe for rubber. So yeah, it was easy stuff to get, and obviously it's designed to be non-harmful for any aquatic environments. So you can imagine how embarrassed she was walking into there asking for that stuff. Thought that was brilliant myself. Laughed at it for ages. And we used to have it there sat behind the counter, you know, the till was above and then under the shelf below there was a bottle of KY gel. Ah, funny stuff. Anyway, let's crack on with this. Alright, now then, we get to this part. You don't know it, but you can probably guess it, that I have cut a hole here. Now normally there is just a flat piece of steel here, which we don't need there. There's a little rectangular shape window in it, which obviously is too small. In fact, the steel is down there on the floor. Now that does not need to be a perfect hole, because at the end of the day all that's happening is that right there is just being jammed into that gap. So long as you get it somewhat the right shape, it'll be fine. Like I say, that is not the right shape, but it will do the job for me. Like that. There. Perfect. Like it was made for it, almost. In fact, technically that's upside down because the things there, but I don't think it matters. I think these are both universal in whichever way you put them in. Should have really cleaned this first, but I can get to it when it's all together and clean it out with a cloth and some water, soapy water, which is what you want to use. Right, so that's in there like that. Now we've just got to figure out how to get the blower motor in there. Now the difference between that motor and this motor is that they both turn in different directions. This one's got the outlet on this side, obviously because it's pushing air towards the centre. Now before you install this, you do need to install this. This goes behind the steering column. Alright, there you go. It is in. That does take a bit of effort to get it in there, but nothing too crazy. It gets caught on this lip more than anything else, just down here. So as soon as you figure that out and press it down, it's only very thin plastic, you can put it into different shapes. It's quite easy to do, and it will just slide across and go in. Nice. Next job is to get the blower motor in there. Now to do that, I think I've got to remove this little bolt here, which I do believe is a 13. Oh no, that looks like more like a 10mm. 10mm bolt. So I've got to take that out, and the blower motor will replace that bolt. It will completely replace that bolt. So the nut will then go underneath and attach underneath rather than be on top. Let's do that now. Can be a bit awkward to get that in there, and I say that because you've got to try and get that duct in there to line up, but if you get it into an angle and slide it in, it will go. But like I say, if I'm managing to do this, you guys should have no problem. Now all I've got to do is sit the bonnet release back up on that bolt and put that 10mm on the new stud that's poking through that hole from above that's on the blower motor.